Redeemer, and Sustainer. Amen. Many of you will know that I am one of 2 seminarians at St. Bartholomew's this year. Part of my role is to learn by experiencing different areas of ministry. Each semester, Mother Angela and I work out what my learning goals for the semester are going to be, and I try to work toward those goals. In the semester that just concluded, one of my primary learning goals has been to learn about religious education of children. Now, to be honest, the idea of working with children, well, completely and utterly terrified me. I don't know anything about children except that I was once a child. I don't have any children of my own, and I am an only child, which means that I don't have any nieces or nephews. Nor does my day job bring me into contact with children. I've been a lawyer for 21 years, and in that time I have worked with some very unpleasant people. I have been physically threatened multiple times by lawyers and witnesses. I have been cussed out and called just about every name in the book. I even had a lawyer I worked for once throw a 3-hole punch at my head. And at the beginning of the semester, all of that seemed preferable and inspired less panic in me than teaching Sunday school to a group of 5-year-olds. Still, I was encouraged by staff, parents, and the gifted teachers already working with the children of St. Bartholomew's. So I attended Godly Play training last summer, the curriculum used by this parish for the education of children. The Godly Play approach helps children explore faith principally through storytelling and the experiences of wonder and play. On the first Sunday of Advent, I was the storyteller in the primary class. The story for that Sunday begins the 4-week journey toward Christmas with these words. A king is coming, but he is not the kind of king that people had thought was coming. This king had no army, no palace, and no gold. This king was a baby born in a barn. The king who was coming is still coming. This is full of mystery. Sometimes people walk through a mystery and do not even know that it is there. That language has stuck with me through Advent. A king born as a baby in a barn, and that king is still coming. That is a mystery indeed. I love the story of Jesus' birth that we find in Luke's gospel. Many of us love the manger scene. Many people who have never darkened the doors of a church, including people of other faiths or no faith tradition, know this story. In our mind's eye, we can instantly conjure an image of Mary and Joseph looking down lovingly upon the infant Jesus. We can see the shepherds and the angels, the star in the sky, the assorted animals and the wise men coming from the east. In fact, the church has loved this story since the year 1223, when St. Francis started the tradition of placing mangers in churches. Now we have mangers not only in our churches, but in our homes, on our lawns, and on Christmas cards. At pageants like we just had, we dress up the youngest members of our communities as the Holy Family, sheep, donkeys, angels, and shepherds to reenact the scene portrayed in this passage of Scripture. It's a scene that for many of us prompts nostalgia and emotion. Of the many images we have of Jesus, from his birth to his ascension, many of us love the Christmas Jesus, the baby in the manger best of all. I think we see in this scene a kind of divine domestic tranquility. Now, this requires imagination, to be honest. One wonders how tranquil it really could have been. A young family tired from a long trip, a very young woman exhausted from the delivery of a child, in a barn, maybe cold, and certainly not comfortable, surrounded by animals with all the racket and attendant smells they bring. Then there are the shepherds who existed on the margins of society at that time, probably a fairly ragtag and rough group. And eventually some weird guys from the East will show up to have a look. Still, I think people are understandably inclined to idealize the scene described in Luke's gospel because it is associated with a familiar sense of peace and hope that allows some to endure the thought of another year of dark events or bad news. But here is where I think we, including myself, are in danger of walking right past the mystery. In its idealized form, it's a lovely, comforting scene. But its significance lies in the fact that it is absolutely overflowing with good news. In fact, I would say it's the best news humankind ever received. And it's not the kind of good news we hear on one day or for a few days that we hope might sustain us a few weeks into the new year. No, it's the good news that will sustain us every single day of our lives, no matter how bleak the world seems. And it's the story behind the story that truly sustains. It is the story of a loving God who intervened decisively into human history. A God who, out of sheer unconditional love for humanity, took on the fragile form of a human to show us how to live and specifically how to love. Part of the wonder and mystery of Jesus' coming was that rather than proclaim it from the heavens or through prophets, God became a person. God walked around on the earth, preaching and teaching about a love that can't be earned and cannot be lost. Sometimes I think we've become desensitized to how astonishing that really is. But maybe more significant to the mystery of Christmas is that while Jesus was born as a baby once, the Christ is always coming to us. This King is still coming. This wasn't a one-time event. We encounter Christ in the people we meet every single day, inside this church and elsewhere. As I have reflected on it, I think the Spirit willed me to encounter this truth again in the children of this community. I keep hearing the words from Mark's gospel, "Whoever welcomes one of these children in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me isn't actually welcoming me, but rather the one who sent me." I thought I was going to be learning to teach children this semester. In fact, the children and the Spirit had a lesson for me. When children walk through the doors of this church, Christ comes with them. Wherever they go, Christ goes with them. God entrusts children to communities like this one to cultivate the innate sense of God that is present in each one of them. That is a profound and humbling realization. Christ is also still coming to us in the poor, the prisoner, the hungry, the homeless, and the marginalized. Christ comes to us in our family, friends, and neighbors, and yes, in the people who have done specific wrongs to us, and those who plain just get on our nerves. Christ comes to us again and again to remind us that Jesus was born for all of humankind, and that it is our responsibility to love people as Christ loves us. All through the season of Advent, we've been expecting and preparing for Christmas, and it's here. Yet it is not simply that we have been preparing to gather here on one night to hear once more the familiar story of Jesus' birth. We have been preparing for a powerful moment in time, full of the deepest meaning. This story is not just about the birth of a baby, but the coming of God into the world for all people. And the story doesn't stop at the manger, because that baby grew up. The love that led to his birth, the love that he taught and lived, the love for which he ultimately died, and the love that raised him from the dead, is the power to transform this world when we realize that the King that was coming, a baby born in a barn, is still coming. And this is full of mystery. Merry Christmas.